Hey, excellent work. I'm so pleased you've downloaded the Heartbroken to Soulmate Blueprint because it will show you a clear path to follow to make your relationship work. Just following these blueprint steps will make a massive difference in your life. Be sure to watch this quick video right now because I'm going to take you quickly through this Heartbroken to Soulmate Blueprint and I'm going to clearly explain how it all works. I'll show you how you can really go from being brokenhearted to feeling confident in your relationship and how to build a long-lasting, intimate and meaningful connection with your partner. Relationships are a big deal for humans. When they're going well, we feel confident and we can cope with life's problems and challenges because someone has our back. But when they're not going so well, we're unhappy and sad and lonely. All of these awful feelings spread everywhere, across your work, through your friendships, and they affect your health and happiness. With this blueprint download, you'll be one of the few people who really understand the big relationship picture. You'll get to figure out how relationships really work. Most people prefer to avoid it all because it's downright distressing, and we all hope that it's just going to go away. But you'll know exactly what to do when things go pear-shaped. The reason I know you can do this is because fixing relationships is what I do for a living. I'm Dr. Sharon. I'm a cognitive psychologist, and over the last 20 years, I've worked with thousands of clients and hundreds of relationships. My clients are always saying the same thing. Their relationship isn't working and they simply don't know what to do. But what they do know is that they don't want the heartbreak, and they don't want the arguments and the fights. They do know that they don't like the way they feel or the sadness that hangs around. But they don't know where to turn. Maybe they've tried various books and tips and tricks from the internet, but nothing seems to stick. Sometimes they feel that there's something fundamentally wrong with them, maybe even unfixable, and this leaves them feeling afraid. They ask me the same old psychology questions. Is it me? Is it my partner? Is it the relationship? Is it all my relationships? But what they really need is just to know how relationships actually work and what makes them thrive. And they need a clear pathway to follow so they can take consistent steps that really work with guidance and advice. Just so you know, relationships are a little bit like children and careers. They take a lot of work. Most of the time when people do the work, that is the right kind of work, their relationship will flourish. And no, it's not a quick fix strategy, but when you know what to do and you have a clear pathway to follow, then it will work. In the Heartbroken to Soulmate Blueprint you've requested, you can see the exact 3 phases that I and all the other relationship experts take people through. We all know from psychological research just what you need to do so you can build and repair broken relationships. Here are the 3 phases. The first one is understand, and that's understanding your brain, the way you think and the way you feel and the way you behave. The second phase is change. Change your relationship. Change what's happening. And number 3 is to create. Create a meaningful and fulfilling relationship. Let's look at these 3 phases in depth. The first big problem is that people just don't really understand how brains behave in relationships. They don't know how to manage their feelings. Sometimes they're not even sure where their feelings come from and whether they're important. So many times people try to logically and rationally think their way through a relationship problem. But brains aren't nice, clean maths problems that we can solve logically. Maybe think of your relationship as a sunset problem. That's one that doesn't always add up, but it sure brings you a wonderful feeling. We need to understand what our brains are doing in relationships so we can manage our thoughts and feelings, and then we can sort things. Even if it doesn't always seem to make sense, even if you can't understand why each of you feels and behaves the way you do. Relationships do make sense though. We have some sound theories that help us understand them, such as attachment theory. We do know the fundamental principles that make relationships work. The second big problem is that people often think that they won't be able to change what is happening in their relationship. Changing what is happening in your relationship can be challenging. It can make you also feel vulnerable and scared. Maybe you are stuck in the blame game, either on you or your partner. Or maybe something awful, unexpected or damaging in your relationship has broken something deep inside of you. Or maybe you've tried to change what distresses you, but nothing you do seems to help at all. It's easy to lose hope, especially when it all seems outside of your control. Changing things is a bit like when you go on holiday and everything feels different. When you start to do things differently, you will move in another direction. Of course, we all know that if nothing changes, you're just going to keep getting the same thing you've had forever. But you do really need to know what to change. The third big problem is that a relationship is something you create, which means you need to actively construct it and build it into something that you really want. Relationships are like children and careers. You need to have a vision, an idea of where you're going, and then you need to follow it up with hard work. Because there are two of you, you will need to be able to communicate these dreams and create a relationship that fulfills them. Without this vision, you will experience the same patterns of behavior happening between you two again and again. Here's how we're going to work through these three phases. The phase one, or the first phase, remember, was understanding, and that's your brain. The first step is know clearly what's going on in your relationship. That is, we're going to build an awareness of how you two communicate and respond to each other. In step two, you're going to get to know what's happening inside of your head. In other words, be more aware of your thinking and the stories that you have. And in step three, you're going to know even more exactly how you feel, because yes, feelings really matter in a relationship. The second phase, remember, was about changing your relationship. And this is how we'll go about it. In step one, we're going to uncover the dance pattern that plays out between you two. And we're going to find your underlying motivations and deeper feelings that happen in that dance. In step two of changing things, we're going to learn the strategies that you can use to change the big bad things that we know always damage relationships. In step three, we're going to learn how to express more feeling-based communication and how to be much more emotional in the way you respond to each other. And the final phase, phase three, was about creating, that was building your vision. So in step one, we're going to learn how to build new belief systems and undo the old, unhelpful ways of thinking. In the second step, we'll work with your values, your reasons for living, and we'll look at the drivers of the relationship that you really want. You'll become much more flexible and adaptive. And in step three, we're going to go over your unique relationship blueprint that's based on all the psychological work we've done before this, so that you get to create a relationship that brings you plenty of intimacy and caring. So this is where you get to make a choice. Do you want to follow a clear blueprint that will help you build a great relationship? Do you want to change what's happening in your relationship by using proven psychological tools and the techniques that we use every day in therapy with couples? Would you like to get unstuck and move out of the same old arguments and the same old behaviors that tear you apart inside? Have you struggled and failed because you don't know exactly what to do to fix your relationship? Or do you perhaps believe that it won't ever change? When your relationship works, it's just like reaching out your hand to touch or find someone you love and leaning into their safe, loving reassurance, instead of finding only a dark, black nothingness. Don't let what we've talked about mess up your relationships. Don't let your brain think and feel things that ruin everything. Figure it out and fix it. I know you can. Now here's where I get to invite you to schedule a call with me. Click here and check out my calendar to book a quick chat call. On that call, I'll show you just exactly how you can use the Heartbroken to Soulmate blueprint to create and build amazing, intimate and loving relationships. This call is for you if, number one, you're prepared to learn and to understand more about relationships. And you can do this with or without the support of your partner. Number two, are you prepared to invest time and money and effort into changing your relationships for the better? And number three, are you committed to working through the steps, even when it's hard? If you are this person, I promise you that you can make powerful changes in your relationship. Talk soon.